Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, wherever you may be joining us from. Welcome back to another episode of Cheeky Chip Chat. Paul, week 2 on YouTube. How we doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. My background looks a little bit better this week,
Yeah,
and
you
I'm decided to rock the USA jersey today for reasons that will be explained later on.
you got the USA jersey, they're in red. You've got the background in red, of course, for Arsenal. Although, of course, I am myself. I'm rocking. We got a lot of red on today's show. Got a lot of
Yeah,
red
lots
going
of red. Lots of red. It's going to contrast well with the other colors of the background.
on. Paul, wearing short sleeves over there. You know the weather's changing over here, man. Weather's changing. It's getting a little chilly. It's starting to the first hints of the fall time. I mean, after all, it is, I believe, officially fall as of yesterday or something.
Yes, it
Um,
was.
but the first kind of inklings of the weather changing. How do you feel?
Well, last weekend it was about 60 degrees outside the entire weekend, and I went out and I enjoyed myself, the good old outdoors. Haven't done that in a while, as you can imagine. Um,
I can't imagine why, but yeah.
and it's been a really good week for me. It's been a fun week. Work's going well.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching the kids as I'm about to school you on this podcast.
School
But yeah,
me.
man,
Wow.
school you. I was going to take you to school. How's your week been? You been all right?
Man, my week's been all right. I too was enjoying the great outdoors last weekend. Got out, had some good food, and enjoyed the great outdoors. It was a lot of fun. But of course, as I said, the chills have started to set in a little bit. It looks like there's going to be a little bit more rain in the forecast. Everything's going to start getting a little bit worse. But the football season kicks in to help keep us all sane, which is kind of
Yes, it
the
is. And our Ravens are doing well.
hey man, you can't really complain about the Ravens, can you? I mean, for those of you who are, I mean, I know this is a soccer show, so you probably are not interested in American football. But the Baltimore Ravens, the local team around here, they're pretty good at American football. So both football seasons
Yeah.
kicking in, and I would say they're pretty good.
Oh yeah, just pretty good. Yeah,
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's about time we had a good team for me. So, but anyway, would you like to let's not keep anybody waiting any longer.
Yeah.
Let's just dive straight in. Let's go straight into deep fried for this week with the match of the week, Chelsea versus Liverpool. I think is unquestionably match of the week across all the leagues. There was really only one choice of a match to cover.
Only match.
Chelsea versus Liverpool. Second week in a row covering Liverpool. I mean, what is this?
I know. I'm so sorry.
Do you just? It's on this side. No, it's on this side. Well, it's on both sides. I mean, do you just enjoy this? Do you just enjoy making me say nice things about them?
I do not. No, I do not. And it's funny that you mentioned that because I was thinking when we were picking the game, I was like, "Oh, Rahul's not gonna like 2 Liverpool games in a row."
Well, we'll talk
I'm
about it at the end
sorry.
of the show, but it might be 3 in a row if we're depending on which game we cover next week because they're playing
Oh.
Arsenal. So I mean, you might have to try, might get the hat trick. We don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
We don't
Nice.
know what it's like around here. We decide what game we're going to cover. I see there's also Manchester City versus Leicester City coming up, and I also personally want to cover Roma Juventus to get out of the Premier League. So I mean,
That's fair.
we will kind of try and mix it up the best we can, but we'll see how it goes. But
Possibly
anyway,
a double deep dive.
possibly
deep
double
fried?
deep fried, possibly a double deep fried. But for this week, it's a single deep fried. Chelsea versus Liverpool. Both teams set up in a 4-3-3. Paul, any thoughts on the lineups?
Yeah, I always got some thoughts for you, Rahul. Absolutely. I think Reece James has definitely made himself that starting right back for that Chelsea team. I think it's going to be hard to displace him if you're an up and coming right back.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really kind of made it his own. He's been a consistent starter for them. I was excited to see him in the lineup. Jorginho, though, as the captain, Rahul, I'm still not sold on Jorginho. I'm still not sold on Jorginho.
Even with the way he copies Bruno's penalty run up and everything, you're still not sold on him?
Oh, yeah, the way he copies Bruno's penalty run. He did miss a penalty in this game. First one, I believe, for Chelsea. They read that stat out, and yeah, so Jorginho in the holding role and as the captain, it was kind of well. So I'll say this: obviously, when NBC first came out with the lineup for this game, it looked like Jorginho was going to be in that holding role. They played more of a flat line on the midfield, and I think that speaks more to your point from last week, where do they know how to deploy N'Golo Kante? I'm not sure. I'm
Because
not
he was more
100%.
advanced. I just want to, and I'll get to it. I remember I wrote it down and I said, if N'Golo Kante does this, and I forget exactly what it was, so I'll look at my notes when we get there as we're going through things. But in fact, I don't even want to ruin the comment. I don't even want to ruin the comment. I want to deploy the comment as intended, directed at Frank Lampard, verifying what I said last week, that he has no idea what he's doing with regards to N'Golo Kante, and just signing a bunch of attacking players doesn't mean you're going to win the league. But anyway, it's
Speaking of those attacking players, Kai Havertz starting and Timo Werner starting up top, that was very exciting for me.
yeah, just to see
And
the two Bundesliga prospects playing together. You know, they've been very, very, very hyped.
yeah,
Not only when playing in the Bundesliga, but also in the summer transfer window. Hyped up by Chelsea fans, thrown around as a reason why they won the league. So you know,
I
very
was excited.
interesting.
Wish Kai Havertz played the way he played in the Carabao Cup this past week. I don't know if you saw, he scored his first Chelsea hat trick in the
I
cup,
did, I saw, and then everybody was bantering him for scoring against. I don't even remember what the team was
but it
called.
was not to be in this game for sure, Rahul. It was
Definitely
not to
not.
be in this game. But yeah, that was my only thought was Jorginho captain. I'm still not 100% sure.
Yeah, yeah.
He's just
So
too much of a sorry guy. I feel like he's such a like quintessential sorry.
it's the problem of Chelsea, where they just keep replacing managers so quickly that you have remnants, and United have some of this problem as well, where you have the remnants of another manager's squad just sitting there, and then the new manager comes in and they can't just get rid of everybody immediately. So they try their best to kind of make it work, but I mean it is what it is. But yeah, the main comment I had was Fabinho playing center back for Liverpool.
Yep,
You know,
same thing.
in place of Joe Gomez from last week. I forget whether that was due to injury or a tactical thing. I think it was due to injury, but I
Yeah.
may be wrong. But yeah, definitely an interesting choice, especially given that Leeds had exploited the miscommunication, lack of synchronization or timing among the backline in order to score their goals. So it was going to be very interesting. So yeah, that was one thing I had written down in my notes at least.
No, same
Um,
thing. Bold move from Klopp, especially because he knows Timo Werner very well.
yeah,
Putting Fabinho back there.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you completely. I think that was my only thought as well on the on that side. Excited to see Thiago on the bench as well, right?
and finally getting his Premier League debut.
Yeah,
Now Timo Werner got on the ball a lot early, especially his pace obviously is one of his main aspects, is how fast he is, how rapid he is, especially on the ball, able to control it, you know, while moving at that rapid speed, getting tons of space in behind Liverpool's back line. Again, it's just something that we've seen Leeds do. We're seeing Chelsea do it. Getting in behind the fullbacks, it's all well and good to say that your fullbacks should be creative forces in the modern game, but that comes with the trade-off that, you know, if you don't have guys properly covering in behind, the other team's attackers are going to have tons of joy down the flanks, and Timo Werner definitely exploited, especially the left-hand side, which is Trent Alexander-Arnold's side, as he's Liverpool's right back, to get in behind.
yeah. Fabinho did a nice job covering in all, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you said, but you're absolutely right.
That was going to be my next point, is like, even though they did have a ton of joy, you know, the center backs did a good job of covering once they did get into the box. So, you know, Werner was, if he did get a shot off, if it was a poor shot because he was under pressure, or he was just tackled out from in front of him. So I mean, yeah, you got to give credit to Van Dijk and to Fabinho as well.
Yeah, I think Liverpool, as good as they are, they're going to be fairly predictable with that kind of defensive frailty when it comes to Alexander Arnold bombing up the field, Robertson bombing up the field, and then they leave that, back line kind of exposed. Luckily, they have one of the best center backs in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then looks like Fabinho could be a good replacement. I'm iffy on Joe Gomez. I don't know how you feel about Joe Gomez. I know he was out this game, but that's gonna be the one thing that scares me about Liverpool this year, is that weakness on the wings, and that I think teams are really gonna expose it this year, Raul.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we see that, right? Like a team like Liverpool, I mean, they played really well last year, had a great points total, but at the end of the day, they got 38 games of tactics to look at on you. And sooner or later, you're gonna get gonna get figured out. So it'll be interesting to see if I mean, the Leeds almost did it last week, so it'll be interesting to see if Klopp can come up with something that can reliably cover for the defensive vulnerabilities that are starting to get exposed by lots and lots of teams. But again, Chelsea unable to break that deadlock because of the performance of those two center backs holding strong. And I mean, honestly, I mean, we talk about Liverpool's defensive frailties, but I mean, let's talk about Chelsea for a second. I mean, Kepa Arrizabalaga. Can I just say I don't like to trash talk, individuals because it's no fun for individuals to feel like they're bad as people. And I want to say I'm sure he's a very nice man. Okay, I want to start off what I'm about to say. But I'm sure he's a very nice guy. But I mean, what a disaster of a goalkeeper. I'm sorry. I mean, especially for the money that they spent on him, I feel really bad for him because they have all of these expectations on him, and I really don't think he's capable of living up to them, to be quite honest with you. And we said this all last season. There's that infamous goal, I think it was from Ajax in the Champions League, of the ball ricocheting off his face. And it's unfortunate. And you see things like in the 13th minute, he gets pulled wide away from his goal chasing a ball he has no business chasing. He's never going to get there. He just looks like an idiot. We're going to talk about something else stupid that he did later in this game. But I mean, I just feel bad for the guy after a while.
Yeah, I mean, loss of confidence, obviously, that's a killer for a goalkeeper. There's definitely possibly the fact that it was a bad scouting, that Chelsea scouted poorly, right?
Yeah.
This is a second tier Spanish player that they broke the bank for, set
Mm-hmm.
a world record for.
Mm-hmm.
And here, 2 seasons later, they're really regretting their decision. And I think that came down. His career at Chelsea was over the moment he told Sarri he was not coming off the field, whatever
Yeah,
the
and that League Cup
situation was
final,
with
yeah.
that in that League Cup final. I really do, because once you got on Sarri's bad side, that looked bad. And that kind of drove him into this lack of confidence, let's say. And then Frank he stood behind him publicly for sure, but from what I understand, does not really favor him. And now they're bringing in this new goalkeeper, which we'll get to a little bit later on in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Tough times for Kepa Arrizabalaga.
Definitely.
Raul.
Definitely. And just a few minutes later, I mean, forget talking about just their defensive frailties. I have lots of issues with Chelsea, but I mean, the if you can, and this is the comment that I wanted to throw at Frank Lampard, which is, if you cannot see in the 16th minute why Conte should not be played in an advanced role, then I'm sorry, you have no business being a football manager. I'm just going to say that right now. You have no business seeing that. If I, as a fan, can see that, and I watch Chelsea like once in a blue moon, and I can see that he's one, obviously we all know he's one of the best central defensive midfielders in the world, right? Consistently over the last several years. He's been one
Easily.
of, if not the best central defensive midfielder in the world. And you insist on playing him in a more advanced role, I'm sorry, you have no business being a football manager. It doesn't make any sense. Because Timo Werner times his run in behind Liverpool's defense to perfection, in nice interchange with Kai Havertz on the left wing, allowing him to run in behind. He gets his head up. He slides the ball correctly, directly to his right, across to an advancing N'Golo Kante after a fantastic move. All he has to do is get the shot off. Just put Kepa or put Alisson under some pressure. Put Liverpool under some pressure. That's all you have to do, because otherwise they will continue to chokehold you with their press and smother you, which is eventually what ended up happening in this game. But you have to put them under pressure, and Conte wouldn't pull the trigger. He hesitates. I don't think he has a particular... I think occasionally I've seen him score some goals from the edge of the box, but I don't think his shot is the best. And it just doesn't seem like he has the killer instinct to be playing further forward or the creativity. His core competency is defending, man marking, and having the pace to recover. Why would you not deploy him in that role? I don't understand. I just don't get it.
100%. And the only bright spark for me for Chelsea in that first 30, 45 minutes, I think Kovacic played very, very well. I
Hmm.
really do. And I think that's the only thing that gave Chelsea some really good chances. That and Werner's speed. I think Werner, I was going to say this at the very end of this, but I think Werner is going to quickly realize that pace isn't going to be everything
Hmm.
in this league, right?
Needs a little
And
bit more.
yeah, and I absolutely think Werner has that in him, right? I absolutely think he's a world class striker, but he's gonna have to adapt quickly to that
I
because I
actually
think Chelsea are really gonna rely on him on that.
I actually wrote that down. That exactly. I think I wrote verbatim. Werner's pace is impressive, but you need more than just pace in the Premier League. And so, yeah, I also think he has it in him. It's just he needs a few games to adjust. So, I mean, I'm not gonna knock him too hard, especially because, like you said, he was one of Chelsea's bright spots in that first half.
I
Um,
agree.
so,
Should we get to the not bright spot?
yeah, sure. I mean, Liverpool dominated possession. They created chances and dangerous chances, and I figured it was only a matter of time before something went their way.
Hmm.
And sure enough, in the 43rd minute, I mean, Paul, we talked about American football, but I think the Ravens defense would be real proud of Andreas Christensen for just the form on that tackle on Sadio Mane. The ball gets played out the back. I forget exactly which player plays the pass. It may have been Fabinho, but I don't know.
I
Um,
believe it was Henderson. It
okay,
was
it
a
was
beautiful
Henderson.
pass from Henderson.
Very
Yep.
deep in their own half, plays a beautiful long ball out to Sadio Mane, who's of course trying to run in behind Chelsea's back line, and he gets a position on Christensen, who then wraps his arms around, basically goes well, where's the camera, like this. He goes like this around his neck and like pulls him down around his chest. And I'm just like, he initially gets a yellow card. I mean, I guess thank God for VAR, right?
Thank God for VAR.
I mean, who knew we'd be
Absolutely.
saying that? Like,
No, yeah, I mean, there is so much wrong with this play, right? I mean, first of all, pass over the top from Henderson, right? Rahul, do you think Liverpool is going to try to pass it over the top to
no, I've
Sadio
I've never
Mane
seen them play, especially
or
long
Salah?
diagonal balls into their wide player. No, I've never seen that before.
So you know that's coming, right? And to let Mane in on that side of you, that's just so poor from Christensen. And I guess the only thing he can do at that point is take himself out of the game for Chelsea because get that trash out of there.
I mean,
And rugby tackles him. I was expecting a scrum afterwards.
I agree, and I'll say this: I'm sure Chelsea are glad that they signed Thiago Silva this transfer window, because they desperately need some reinforcements at center back because they're not very good. So,
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
I think Rudiger was injured for this game, so I'll give him that. I think Rudiger is probably their best
their
current
best, yeah,
choice. Yeah,
yeah. So
other than Thiago Silva.
then Thiago Silva. Yeah, I'm sure that's what they'll be chanting, and I'm sure that's what Christensen will be chanting, because I just don't see him getting enough. I
But
feel like he's on the last chance saloon with Frank Lampard. He's got to be.
yeah, you definitely think red card though, right? I was like screaming at the TV, red card.
Easy, easy. I don't know how that wasn't a straight red to begin with. So I was
I'm
like,
with you.
really
I'm
gonna give him a yellow?
Who was it? Michael Oliver,
Michael
right?
Oliver was the VAR. It was
Oh, the
Martin
VAR.
Atkinson.
Oh, Martin Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, going in 10 minutes into the half, man.
10 minutes into
That's what
halftime.
it's
And the,
about.
the sad part is, as much as I was trash talking Chelsea, they actually, because of Timo Werner, and perhaps only because of Timo Werner, it was a deadlock of a game. Like, they
Oh yeah.
had some chances. So I was like, okay,
Oh yeah.
this is a pretty even game. And then they go a man down, and I'm like, crap. Like, I'm just like, well, there's not a lot you can do here. And sure enough, in 4 minutes into second half, I mean, that's the breakthrough. I mean, they make it look so easy at times. Liverpool, just the movement, the constant pass and goes, and you watch Mane's movement, because I watched this goal back several times. You watch Mane's movement. He's actually the one that he has a pass very early on in this move where he plays it wide, and you can see him just drifting, staying on his toes, on his toes, on his toes, and just drifting to that back post. And just the way that Liverpool's movement in and out of position and that players continually cycle and rotate into different spots, it confuses the defenders so that you don't know who you're marking. And then the next thing you know, you got Sadio Mane at the back post ready to head it in. After was it Salah who crossed it?
So it was Firmino.
Or Firmino,
Uh,
Firmino who crossed it. One of them.
yeah.
One of them will find space and cross into an open man because you absolutely bamboozled the defense, especially down to center back. So I mean, it was just a great goal.
I can't say much more than what you just said because I am in complete agreement with you. The only thing I'll add is, and I have it written in my notes, Liverpool's front three put on a masterclass for us. That's how you set up a goal because Salah was involved. You're absolutely correct. He didn't get that last killer pass or chip over the top. That was Firmino. But Salah plays the little give and go to Firmino to open Firmino up for it. And it was just like, this is why Liverpool is so dangerous because when those three play the way they did in that moment, they're going to score goals. They're going to score goals.
Lots of them, and there's nary a thing you can do to stop them because I think even with 11 guys, it's hard to stop that. So, I mean, well played. It's only a matter of time, like we said. Golf clap. And then 4 minutes later, Paul, I'll let you. I've been taking a lot of the glory on a lot of these points. Why don't you go ahead and break this? I mean, if you can, I don't know if there's words to describe what happened here in the 53rd minute, but if you'd like to kind of break this down for us, that would be awesome.
Our dear friend Jaden, who is occasionally on this show and will be in the future, hopefully again.
Yeah.
I think put it best when we were watching it live, and he just goes, "Mane's really fast. Mane's really fast, Raul." Yeah. He is really fast. It's true. And the high pressure play from Liverpool leads to Kepa. Poor Pat. I think Tomori obviously has to play it to Kepa in that position. So Kepa's now put in this, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I don't know. Is Sadio Mane really fast? And tries to play a ball to the center. I can't remember exactly. Might have been Jorginho right there on the center of the box. And Sadio Mane, who, by the way, is really fast, picks it right off. The
only universe in which this makes sense, right? This is the only way I can rationalize this in my head. Is if you picture, like, Kepa's playing FIFA, right? He's playing online, but his internet connection is absolute shit. Sorry. I missed. We're gonna get better with the button. You got a little bit of an
echo. You got a little bit of an echo.
A little bit of an echo. Yeah, I mean, he's absolute, right? Like, he's garbage. Okay, so I mean, the point is, I can't even. How do you miss time pushing the button? It's just like, come on, it's right there. Anyway, he's playing FIFA. His internet connection's garbage. Okay, and he decides that he's going to play out from the back, and he passes to his center back. But his internet connection's garbage, so it hasn't loaded the fact that his opponent is closing him down. Right there. Next thing you know, it speeds up the game, and all of a sudden, there he is. There's Sadio Mane, the best football player in the world. And then the next thing you know, he's like, oh, well, shoot, there's not a lot I can do now. Next thing you know is he's back in the net, throwing the controller at the wall, going to GameStop to buy a new one because he broke it. He's uninstalling the game. He's declaring that he'll never buy the next FIFA. There's all the kinds of things that all of us do. It's the only thing that I can do to rationalize this because the rest of it it just doesn't make any sense.
I think it was at that moment that Chelsea confirmed Edouard Mendy to their club.
Frank Lampard checked his phone and went, "Yep, he's on his way. He's on his way. Yeah, make it happen, lads. Make it happen." Yeah, that's 2-0, and to be quite honest with you, that's where I really stopped paying attention. So, I mean, if you want to talk about the penalty, we can. There was not a ton after that to discuss. So, if you want to talk about the missed penalty, if you'd like to, you feel free.
I just again Jorginho. I can't stop trashing Jorginho. I don't know. I'm such a Jorginho hater all of a sudden, but I am.
Bruno takes the penalties better like that. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, but Bruno's penalties are a little cheaper than the that was a little clearer on Werner than I've ever seen one on Bruno
On Bruno
Fernandes.
Fernandez.
That's not true. I've seen him win some legitimate ones, but I've also seen him win some illegitimate ones. Let's just put it that way.
I just
Um,
laugh at this point. I just laugh.
yeah, Werner wins the penalty. It was Thiago who causes the penalty, which was funny because last week it was what's his name? Rodrigo, right?
Yeah.
For Leeds. So that
These
was their
Spanish new
brand
signings
new
in
signings
the
from
Premier League not doing so hot. You're right. Damn.
yeah, seriously. But yeah, after that it was kind of it was pretty quiet of a game. I did like watching Thiago play for that second half, but yeah, it after that Christensen red card, you knew it was downhill for them, and I
You knew it
think
was done. You knew it
I
was
think
done.
both managers kind of said it afterwards too that like it really that turned the game because it was really good before that, and that just really turned the course of the game. I think they were going in. Well, if Christensen doesn't commit that penalty, they're probably down 1-0 at the half. But
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. Maybe Kepa makes a huge save there, Rahul. Oh my gosh. We'll never know. Now now Kepa's lost his job, we'll never know.
Well, we'll see if Edward refuses to come off the pitch when Frank Lampard tries to pull him. But anyway,
No one
um,
refuses Frank Lampard.
yeah. So they say. So they say. Um,
Uh,
I think that'll do it for deep fried.
yeah, I think that was a good deep
would you like
fried.
to move on to chip specials?
Yeah, let's do a little chip specials.
Chip
Cheeky chip
specials.
specials. Yeah, specials.
Chip
Yeah.
specials. So for chip specials, um, what do you think? Would you like to start with Patrice Evra's conversation? Let's just call it,
Yeah, let's start right there. Let's start
because
there.
then we
Yeah,
can transition from the next thing into transfers.
sure. Yeah.
So, Patrice Evra, would you like to start, Paul?
Sure. So Rahul made me waste 20 minutes of my life that I'll never get back. No, I'm just joking. It was a good watch. I learned a lot about
Have some respect for Uncle Pat. All right, I will not have this. I will not have you disrespecting Uncle Pat like that. You will listen to what he has to say. He loved this game, and yeah,
Yeah, so Manchester United, this is where I'll start actually. This is the perfect place to start. Manchester United lost their home opener.
it was the home opener.
Oh boy.
We're gonna do some
To
revised predictions for the Premier League. By the way, I have United finishing a lot lower than second place.
So Manchester United lost their home opener to Crystal Palace over the weekend, 1-3.
One of the
Two goals
worst
scored.
games that
Yeah,
I've
two
seen.
goals scored by former Manchester United player Wilfred Zaha. I just wanted to throw that in there. I don't really think it has anything to do with our story.
It doesn't.
And Manchester United legend Patrice Evra, right? Legend, I would say legend, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Patrice Evra. After the game on the Monday following the game, actually, it was a Monday, wasn't it?
I think it was.
Yeah, Monday after the game, came out and had a little bit of a rant. I don't remember on which social media he posted
I
originally.
think it was Instagram.
I saw it on YouTube. So Instagram live rant about the club and how it's kind of gone downhill since Alex Ferguson left and it's lost its joie de vivre, that little spice of life that
Je ne
Manchester
sais
United should
quoi.
the je ne sais quoi, the that thing that Manchester United had
Did you know
or
that?
has.
In French that literally translates to "I don't know what."
Huh, well, that makes sense.
I
That makes
know.
sense.
I
So maybe
know.
we shouldn't trust the French on their takes. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, hey, listen. I'll let you. Yes, yes. I mean, no, that's not what I'm saying. Especially not Uncle Pat. I love Uncle Pat. Anyway, continue.
So Patrice Evra came out with this 20-minute long rant about how nothing's going right for Manchester United. They're focused more on social media. There's like a lot of social media noise going on about signings, kind of similar to what Rio Ferdinand said recently as well. I don't know if you saw his comments, but it was like there's a lot of noise around the United and nothing's being done. But like Chelsea, you didn't hear anything, and they got done bang bang bang. Evra said pretty much the exact same thing, but instead of comparing it to Chelsea, he compared it to the way Manchester United used to be. Not a lot of talk, not a lot of talk, and then boom, you've signed some big players, right? Um, Says he doesn't really trust Ed Woodward. That was kind of a big point that I took away from it. And he talked about that it's starting to become more, and this was kind of his big point, and I think you agree with me, Raul. This is his big point that for many, for both people on the pitch, people off the pitch, players, prospects, right? It's become more of a business than about legacy in the club. And I think that was his big point. Um, and that he's kind of saying that everyone's losing, they're losing fans because they're moving away from the traditional United kind of way of life. And I don't know if you want me to stop there and let you take over a little bit. I could talk about what he said about Van Gaal and Jason Mourinho.
I mean,
Uh,
I'll jump in here for a little bit.
like,
100%.
yeah. Do you agree?
This is what we've all been saying, and this is what. And I hate to paint all United fans with a broad brush, but I would argue that 99% of United fans have agreed for a very long time that we've wanted an ex-legend or somebody who knows what is happening internally at the club to just come out and just lay it all out there and be like, listen, guys, this is what the deal is. Because as fans, we can only do so much, right? As fans, we can only be like, okay, from what we can see, they've signed these players. We've done this well on the pitch during the games. We've heard this in press conferences, whatever. But there's a lot that happens behind the scenes that we don't see, right? So for a long time, we've wanted somebody, some ex-legend of the club to come out and be like, this is what's going on. Here's what's happening. This is who you should be looking at. This is kind of what I don't like that's happening. There's the reasons why we're not successful. Here are some of them, and here's kind of some justification for that. And finally, one of them has done it. So, I mean, maybe not to the extent that some people may have liked, but I mean, I think this is a very, very, very good start because it kind of starts to paint the picture, right? He says things like, "Oh, we send lawyers to talk to people instead of, legends. When we go and we try and negotiate with players instead of trying to sell them through the club with." Legends like Eric Cantona, David Beckham, all these big stars, all these big retired stars who go there and be like, United's the biggest club in England. This is where you want to go and play. Instead, they're sending guys to be like, hey, what kind of wages do you want? What financial package do you want? What kind of living situation are you gonna have? Like they're focusing on everything other than what is it to play for Manchester United, which is that awe factor, that wow factor, that intangible factor that Sir Alex spent 26 years of his life recovering following the decline in the 70s and the 80s. He spent that time building it back up only for these idiots to run it back into the ground by not taking it seriously and just kind of milking the club as a cash cow, which is kind of what it looks like. And he said, and I know you didn't talk about this, I don't know if you want to talk about it, he actually specifically mentioned at least one of the Glazers because they often get blamed. And one thing I want to say first and foremost is people talk about Malcolm Glazer as though he's still alive. I want to say two things. First of all, he was a fan of Manchester United, and that's why they bought the club, was because he himself was a fan. And he's also dead. He died like a few years ago. So for everyone who's saying they want Malcolm Glazer to do something, like, have some respect for those who have passed on, because he's no longer alive and he's not involved anymore. So I just want to say those two things first and foremost. Now, there is no love lost between me and the Glazers, because I've spoken many times about my issues with the amount of money they've taken out of the club. I think the Swiss Ramble did something where they showed that over the last 3 years, they've taken like 90 million pounds out of the club, and only one other club has taken dividends at all, and I think it was like West Brom or something. Yeah, they're clearly happy to take money out, but when it comes to investing money properly, they don't want to do it. I mean, what's what's shocking is it's not even that they're not spending money, because we spent a ton of money. Like we've said, we spent a ton of money over the last 7 years. It's just been spent very poorly because we have poor negotiating, we have poor perhaps scouting, we're not going after the right targets, and it's all being overseen by one dude in charge who has no idea what he's doing. And that's kind of what Patrice is saying in this whole thing. Is he's saying he had to call, he said a football agent called him and told him to tell Matt Judge, the chief negotiator, to answer his cell phone. I'm sorry, you should not have to tell the chief negotiator of Manchester United to answer his cell phone. That's absurd. And for Ed Woodward, he's saying Ed trusts a lot of people that he shouldn't be trusting. So I know it didn't seem like he was blaming Ed directly in that particular quote, but that is Ed's fault. Because when you've been in charge for 7 or 8 years and you've overseen all of these people in the positions that they are, and the financial kind of the robbery from the club, you've overseen that. You've overseen a lack of proper investment. You've neglected putting in charge a director of football to put in a long-term footballing strategy, and you've just been basically trying to play FIFA career mode with Manchester United for 8 years. I have very little sympathy for you, and you're part of the problem. And I think that's something that I don't know if Patrice was getting at, but that's kind of what I got out of what he said. So Matt Judge, Patrice Evra, he said the Glazers, I think he mentioned Joel, was it Joel? Avram Glazer? Avram Glazer, I think he mentioned, or Joel Glazer, one of them. He said that they really love the club. If you really love the club, stop taking dividends out and invest the money properly, or at least start to give a about how the money's being invested, and make sure that it's being invested correctly so that we stop losing 3-1 to Crystal Palace. Or have a squad that has proper squad depth so that we don't have to play the same 11 week in, week out for 3 months, so that when we get into the Europa League and get to the final, our players aren't gassed. Or get to the semifinal, our players aren't gassed.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's kind of my big question, because because we were so wrong, Rahul. No, because like you're talking about squad depth, and you're absolutely right. Squad depth is going to be a big part of it. You brought Van der Beek in. That's kind of nice for squad depth purposes, even though I thought Van der Beek was going to be a more highly sought target for teams to have him as a starting player, because I thought he was really that good. And the fact that what I'm seeing from United and from what I've heard from you is that he's probably going to be an off the bench kind of player, that is kind of a super club thing to do in a way.
It is, and it's definitely good. But again, it begs the question: Nemanja Matic is really the only quality central holding midfielder that we have, and he's 31. So why are you prioritizing bringing in depth for a position for which we have tons of players? I mean, sure, I'm not saying it's not good squad depth, but to spend, I mean, he's a good deal. I'm not criticizing the deal at all. I'm just questioning the order in which these deals happen, because we still don't have a center back coming in, but we have the likes of Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, Eric Bailly's never fit, so we'll see how long he lasts. Axel Tuanzebe's a youth player who's constantly injured. So we have Victor Lindelof, who should never see the pitch again after the performance he put in against Crystal Palace. So realistically, the only quality one there is Harry Maguire.
Would you give Chris Smalling another shot since his return from Roma?
Potentially, it depends on if he can translate what he did in Serie A back into the Premier League. But again, I mean, he clearly doesn't want to be here. He wants to be in Rome, so you'd be playing a disgruntled player. And so it's all these kinds of things. Like, we have tons of center backs that are, I mean, Phil Jones got a new contract last year for 5 years. Why?
Phil Jones.
And you're like, what? Like, there's all these decisions that are made. Like, what are we doing? We have tons of center backs, but none of them are good enough to play. We have depth at attacking midfielder, but it's the likes of Juan Mata, Jesse Lingard, Andreas Pereira. Juan Mata's, past it, let's be honest. As much of a nice guy as he is, and he can offer some quality in as a sub, he's pretty past it. Jesse Lingard has been crap. And Andreas Pereira is not good enough for I don't even know if he's good enough for the championship. So it's like, it's the depth that we have is not good, which means the money's been invested poorly, and we're doing a bad job of shipping out players and bringing in players that should challenge for the first team, because that's how you should build depth, right? Is you should bring in players that will challenge for the first team and either not make it and become part of the depth, or push your current first team players to become part of the depth and have competition for places so that they push each other to become better. And none of that is happening because for some reason we've decided that in this COVID world where we're one of the richest clubs in the world, we're only going to bring in one midfielder.
Yeah. So, but I, I guess what I was trying to get to was why were we so high on them? If they have all these issues that we should have kind of known about, why were we so high on them at like last week?
Honestly, I think it's because in the league since the league restarted, United had the most points,
Hmm.
and we didn't watch them for like a month. And I think at least for me, that was enough for me to be like, "Hey, we played super well. Bruno came into the team, revolutionized everything. Boom, boom, boom. We won the most games. We had the most points since the restart. We're going to be fantastic this season." Not thinking about how squad depth is important when you're challenging for a league season that goes for 38 games across from September until May. Not thinking about what it's like when you play on a Wednesday in the Champions League and then have a Saturday game in the Premier League. And you need to keep legs fresh. Not thinking about all those kinds of things. So, I mean, that's probably why I was so high on them. But again, I'm going to adjust my ranking. I don't think they're going to finish in the top 4 unless they bring in some reinforcements.
Well, we'll talk about a potential reinforcement they're going to bring in here in a little bit, which I think is a pretty good reinforcement. But yeah, I'm with Patrice. I mean, I don't know too much about Manchester United and their issues. I mean, I know enough.
I'm just glad somebody finally came out and said it. So that's what I'm happy about, and I'm happy it was Patrice.
Roy Keane has been saying this for years. I don't know what you're talking about, Rahul.
Roy Keane hasn't had proper ins with the club though. I feel like because they've pretty much disowned him since they fell out with Sir Alex Ferguson. I don't know how good the ins are he's had with the club since then. But Patrice Evra has been like buddying up with the club for like many recent times. So it's nice to hear somebody who's like very recently was affiliated with the club come out and say, you know what, I'm not looking for a job there. Like, I'm not worried about getting a job there. I love the club, and for that reason, I will come out and say what's happening. And I like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You want to talk about something a little more scandalous than Patrice Evra?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Oh, the segue, the segue. I don't like this player either, and Patrice Evra doesn't like this player either. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, this player is about to be the king of segues because we're going to segue right into our next segment too.
Segue right out.
No, but so big news. Actually, this is how big of the news was, Rahul. I read this article on CNN. Um,
What?
seriously, yeah. Seriously, I read it on this on a
Wow.
CNN article. Uh, Luis Suarez, right? And we'll get into his transfer saga here in a second, but basically, he's being ushered out of Barcelona, and one of the potential places for him to land would have been Juventus. Um, Luis Suarez's wife is Italian. To avoid having to pay a little extra, because in the Italian league, and I think in some other leagues, you have to pay extra for non-EU players, which Suarez is. He is Uruguayan. Uruguayan. Yep. And his wife's Italian, and so all you have to do in order to get Italian citizenship through your marriage is pass a linguistics test. And Juventus wanted to sign him, and they didn't want to sign him as a non-EU player, so this was kind of their little workaround. And Suarez took the test, but apparently Italian officials are looking into it, thinking there was some cheating going on. Apparently, the questions for the test were leaked ahead of time to Suarez's camp. There's a doctor coming out, or not a doctor. I guess they're a doctor of linguistics at the university. He took the exam out, saying that, in all honesty, he doesn't speak a lick of Italian, but is that going to stop anyone from paying more than $10 million for a player? No. So, like saving $10 million on a player? No. So there's a little scandal going on here. And it looks like Suarez has officially passed his linguistics exam. He did not get his passport in time, so he did not end up going to Juventus. We'll get to that in a second. I guess the question is, and I think I know your answer, Rahul, because I know your opinion of Luis Suarez. Did he cheat? on his linguistics exam for the
So
Italian citizenship.
I will maintain the stance that I always have when it comes to any of these kinds of things, which is this: you are innocent until you are proven
A
guilty.
scumbag, exactly. Yes.
That being said, we do have a precedent here, I would argue, given that man threw his hands up on the goal line in the World Cup to deny Ghana, I think it was Ghana, the chance to score, and took the red card. You know, that's a cheap move. Biting, was it Ivanovic?
I know Chiellini for sure.
Chiellini for sure. Perhaps Chelsea's. I think it was Ivanovic playing for
Yeah.
Chelsea.
Who now plays for West Brom, by the way. Sorry,
Wow.
continue.
Wow, didn't know that. Fun fact. But biting both of those two dudes, he's just a little bit of an odd guy. So, you know, I mean, it wouldn't put it past him, but I'm definitely not going to come out here and say that I think he did it because, I mean, I don't know. I don't know the circumstances. But, I mean, if they say that they think he did it, it doesn't surprise me. But I'm not going to come out here and call him guilty. Do I like the guy? No. And I wish him the best of luck at the club that he went to, which is we're going to talk about in the next segment.
Should we just
Just roll right into it. Just roll right into it.
Let's talk some transfers, Rahul. Let's talk Luis Suarez. Transfer saga continues. No, it's finally over. After trying to cancel his contract with Barcelona to get out on as a free agent, pretty much, he has finagled his way so that Barcelona have sold him on to Atletico Madrid on a free transfer. However, there is also a performance bonus for Barcelona. They can earn up to
Can you
£6
think of
million.
anybody else who tried to cancel their contract with Barcelona? I can't.
It seems to be in vogue, like hat tricks right now. In vogue to score a hat trick, in vogue to try to cancel your contract with Barcelona. Never thought I'd see the day. It's because the Dutch are running it.
Right.
I'm just joking. I don't have anything against the Dutch.
I swear.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna get flagged on YouTube. It'd be like hatred towards the Dutch.
Seriously.
No, we love the Dutch. We love
all people. We welcome everybody at Shaky
Yes, yeah, obviously. But I was just talking about the Dutch. All right. I'm heartbroken. Arjen Robben just got injured in his first game in the Dutch league.
Oh, no.
Heartbroken. Yeah, contract issues, but the problem really is that he's 33 years old, and there were only so many teams that were willing to pick him up. Juventus being one of them, but there's a whole scandal. I don't know if you heard. And
no, so Paul, tell me about it.
so he's at Atletico. He's at Atletico Madrid now, which is kind of a cool move.
I saw a meme on Twitter saying, just imagine it was like Diego Simeone's like Smithers from the Simpsons. Like, just imagine him preparing to send out Diego Costa and Luis Suarez as a front two. Like, talk about two absolute scumbags sending out his
just goons,
number 9.
Just goons.
Yeah, like, my goodness.
Well, yeah. So I was surprised. You know, Atletico Madrid pretty much not direct rival, obviously, but he could have gone to Madrid.
Can you think of somebody who went the other way from Atletico Madrid to Barcelona? Because I certainly can't, especially not last season or fee of
too much money.
Somewhere in the neighborhood of too much money. Yeah.
Somewhere in the neighborhood of too much money. Yeah. A lot of people are bringing up the David Villa connection from Barcelona to Atletico.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fun. Just the last note on this, and we're not going to talk about him because we're not going to talk about him. But Morata did end up going from Atletico to Juventus. So fun. There is that.
Fun.
Yeah. Here's another.
I guess they made some room on their roster.
Yeah. Speaking of Barcelona, though, they are also making money moves. Not just they sold. Here's who they sold, by the way. I don't know where over the camera. Ivan Rakitic, Luis Suarez. Now they just sold Arturo Vidal, and now we're gonna talk about Nelson Semedo going to Wolverhampton Wanderers, buying Nelson, splashing some big money. It reported £37 million.
Portugal FC, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Have you seen their third kit? It's literally like the Portugal jersey.
Yeah, that red and green.
Yeah. It's literally like the Portugal jersey. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it. Like, I mean, I'm a big fan of Portugal, but I mean, damn, that's insane.
Yeah, so to me, so he's Portuguese, like you said, which is so funny that they really do. Nuno loves his
He
Portuguese
loves his
players.
Portuguese, yeah.
He's 26 years old, so it's a little older than I expected him to be for that kind of move. I figured Wolves kind of like their younger players, but that's okay. The only thing I want to kind of mention on this move, and then I'll pass it off to you, is I think this is now we're going to start seeing Adama Traore in a more advanced role because Nelson Semedo is that right back that Traore
Lockdown.
plays more of he plays more of a wing back kind of position.
Hmm.
So I think we're gonna start seeing Adama Traore get a little bit more forward and stay forward in that role, which I think is gonna be a lot of fun to watch.
Definitely. I was Doherty a right back? He was, right?
Yes, yeah.
But I think that's this is a replacement for him. And yeah, like you said, to see them finally have like a, I mean, not that Doherty was not quality, but I think Nelson Semedo is an underrated defensively as a right back. So getting to see him locked down will not be fun when United have to play them. If I'm being honest, will not be fun when Arsenal. It will not be fun when anybody has to play Wolves because they're already not a fun team to play. Go ahead.
You say that, but Nelson Semedo has I've definitely thrown a lot of criticism at him in recent times. And I think we've definitely thrown a lot of criticism on the show in recent times. So you say that, but
I mean, and
there
maybe all he needs is the shepherding of Nuno Espiritu Santo and his beard.
ooh, oh yes.
That's,
Oh yes.
that's all I'm saying. I mean, we don't know. We don't know how he's going to settle into his side. I think he has the potential to be quality, personally. So I wish him the best of luck. And like you said, Adama Traore being consistently played for the forward is exciting. So,
Yeah.
um,
Speaking of Wolves, Diogo Jota going from Wolves to Liverpool. What are you at? So 45 million pounds from Wolves, which is probably what they spent on Semedo. Because this it happens simultaneously pretty much. Attacking player, versatile. That's what Klopp kind of likes, and he kind of wants to take a little pressure off Firmino and Mane and yeah, Salah. And I think it's
got
a
there in the end.
really good signing. I really like Diogo Jota. I think it's going to hurt Wolves more than it's going to help Liverpool in the long run. It just speaks to your thing about squad depth when it comes to Liverpool. This is a big super club move, just kicking off one of the best players off a mid-table team and bringing them to sit on the bench. Wonderful. Love the move. Love the PR on it. But yeah,
100% agree with you. Definitely gonna hurt Wolves more than it'll help Liverpool, but Liverpool are picking up a very very quality Premier League winger and slash forward. And do they need him? No. Is he gonna help them out in squad depth wise? 100%. Bring him on for a few minutes. I think he'll be a better signing for them than Shaqiri was, personally. So
yes,
yeah,
great
we'll
point.
see. But I think it's a very 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 shrewd but good signing.
Not the only signing Liverpool made though. And I see this happened last week, right as we were making our
Can
episode.
I just say you have designed this segment brilliantly. The way it's segueing one way into the other. I think I didn't notice that. That was quite good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just going to truck my way into the last one though, because I have not figured out how to do that yet. So yeah, so both these signings, Diogo Jota and Thiago, which we've already mentioned in this show, to Liverpool, happened like the Wednesday or Thursday right after we filmed our last episode. So we didn't really get to talk about them.
Hmm.
And we just talked about Jota, but let's talk about Thiago a little bit. Coming over for about 20 million pounds, plus some add-ons, obviously, from Bayern Munich. Wanting a new challenge. Is he going to get that challenge, Rahul?
Bargain.
Oh yeah.
Bargain for a player of his quality. That is a bargain. I think he's 29. Like still has like at least a few years left in his legs for sure. One of the most intelligent players in the world. Quality to just take the ball, spin and go, and advance the ball forward. Creative, um, solid player to have at the back. I mean, he's a fantastic player. Great signing for Liverpool's midfield. I've often talked about how their midfield um, doesn't need to be as quality because of their fullbacks and because of their wingers that they the way they play long diagonals and they lob the ball long and are able to control it, that their midfield doesn't need to be as good and can just act as a supplemental kind of part of the team and rather than the main engine room. But Thiago enables them to play in a different way. And I think this can definitely help with kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of, can Liverpool find a way to play without exposing themselves defensively? And the answer, I think, is probably yes, because of signings like this, because they can find new ways to deploy the existing squad, to deploy the midfield, to organize it in such a way that they're not relying so much on the way that they played in seasons past.
It's going to allow them, and correct me if I can add on to what you just mentioned, because I think you're spot on again, killing it today with these takes,
Thanks,
Raul.
man.
The one thing I want to add on is that I think it's just going to allow them to play that high press that Liverpool play throughout the game completely. I think that's going to be crucial to them being able to kind of make sure their back line doesn't feel too much of that pressure, because that's the one thing that allows them to play up that high is when Robertson or when Trent Alexander-Arnold get
They
up on
know if
those
you
sides.
do get through, they got people back there to stop you.
Exactly. And they're going to now be able to continue that with both Jota and Thiago. I think they're both really good signings if you're not going to sign another defensive player, which, I mean, that's probably what I would have gone with if I was a Liverpool manager, just strengthen that position up right next to Van Dijk. But hey, if you can get Thiago for 20 million pounds, you're getting Thiago for 20 million pounds. You know what I mean?
100%. Great signing for them. Great signing.
I know that pains you. I
It
know that
does.
pains you, Raul.
It
And
does.
one last one, and we won't even talk about. Well, you want to talk about Tellus, or do you want to talk about Mendy?
We'll talk about
I'll let you
Tellez
decide.
next week if it happens. Then
Okay.
it'll become a transfer story.
Okay. Okay. Oh, actually, one real quick quote from this ESPN article that I wanted to read you about Thiago. It made my day. This is from the ESPN article. Liverpool faced competition from United for Thiago, who rejected the offer of a new deal at Bayern to replace his current contract, which expires in June 2021. United have spoken to players' representatives, but Thiago's wages demands were more than $200,000 per week, and then knocked back the Old Trafford club. Classic. A classic.
Just who's the next one? I don't even want to talk about it.
So last one, make it a little bit less painful for you and a little bit more painful for Kepa. Edouard Mendy seemingly finalized his transfer from Rennes to Chelsea for around 18 million pounds plus some add-ons. He's 28. Probably brought in to replace Kepa, I would imagine.
I got to be honest. I know nothing about this guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think
still think he's probably better than Kepa Arrizabalaga, because I mean he's just been awful. Like they're gonna give him a shot. Obviously, we'll see how he does, and we'll judge him when he comes in. But I mean, for the comparative lesser amount of money to what they paid for Kepa, it's got to be a better deal, right? I mean, it's gotta.
One would think. One would
One would hope.
So yeah, so he's coming over from Rennes. Rennes mid-table team in Ligue 1. But I think, from what I understand, he's a very good goalkeeper. I think it's going to be a good signing. Petr Cech, he speaks very highly of him, and was
he's on the operations
pivotal.
team at Chelsea, I think.
Yeah,
So
he was very pivotal in this signing. He was very much involved, from what I
so
understood.
Maybe he knows what he's talking about. I mean, unless Cech is also in charge of goalkeeping coaching for Kepa, in which case I don't know how much I trust him, but we'll see.
No, I think he's only administration behind the scenes.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I think it's going to be a good signing. Definitely Kepa probably on his way out, even though he has
I would think, yeah,
5 more years on his contract or whatever it is. What a terrible contract. You want to talk about United's terrible contract?
No, I've lamented enough about us today. Let's move on to the trivia.
Let's do some trivia. That's all I got for you for the transfers.
You did a good job, man. That was well done. Even that final segue was good. Go ahead.
Thanks. Oh yeah, I just wanted to quickly mention, because we mentioned him last week in our transfer segment, Weston McKennie. We both said he'd probably be a good substitute player. No, 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 no. What do we know about soccer, Rahul? Nothing. Pirlo started him.
Did he score or assist?
He did not score an assist, but he had a pretty good game.
Okay.
It was he kind of played a Jorginho-esque role, a lot of side passes.
Maintaining possession. That's what I'll call that. That's
No, but he did him and who was from he was played at Rabiot. Him and Rabiot played a good center defensive mid kind of holding role for Pirlo's side.
I,
Aaron Ramsey had a shocker of a game. He was on fire. It was awesome. I guess that's not what shocker of a game means. He was on fire.
That's not what I thought happened when you said shocker, and then you just said on fire, and I was like, well, which one was it? But all I know is Ronaldo scored, so that's
Yes,
I'm
he did.
very happy.
It was a fun game. The only reason I watched because of Weston McKennie, but we're gonna get into more Serie A, so
We're gonna watch
excited.
Juventus again next week, so maybe he'll start again. We'll see. But for the trivia, no trivia question this week, but we will have 20 questions. Yeah. So as in case this is your first time joining us for 20 questions, Paul has 20 questions, yes or no, to guess the individual of whom I have written down whom I wrote down on the notes for this week's episode. He has 20 yes or no questions, and he has 15 seconds to answer each question, or he gets a 1-question penalty.
That's true.
So
It's high pressure right there. I'm ready when you are.
High pressure. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's let those questions. God, I am just doing horrible with the grammar today. Let's let those questions start rolling. Let's go.
Is this a current player?
It is.
All right. Do they play in the Premier League?
Yeah.
Currently?
Yes.
I know that's
I'm gonna count that.
All right. Currently playing in the Premier League. Fine. Whatever. Do they play for a a traditionally top 6 side?
No.
Okay. You like the way I phrase that though?
Yes.
Do they play for a side that's been promoted in the past 5 years?
Yes.
Do they play for Wolves?
No.
Okay. Do they play for Brighton?
No.
Not Aaron Moy. Okay, I see you. I see you, Australian John Joe Shelby hater. Do they play for? Do they play for Sheffield United?
No.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. Do they play for Aston Villa?
No.
What? How many questions am I on? What am I on right now? 9. Okay. Do they? I'll get it eventually. They play in the Premier League now. Recently promoted. Do they play for Fulham?
No. That's 10.
Gosh, this is impossible. I can't even think of what teams have been recently promoted. It was a terrible question. I should have not focused on that.
You've literally, you're not focusing on nationality or anything. You're just diving down the list. You wasted so much.
All right. Are they European?
Yes.
Okay. Are they Spanish?
Yes.
Is it Rodrigo?
Holy crap. Rescued at the end. Good lord. I was wondering why you didn't guess Leeds. We've covered them on the show.
I know. I just don't think of it as newly promoted. They're just so established.
No, not at all. Not at all.
All right. Well, I got it in the end, right?
You got it in the end. Thanks for playing. Would you like to shout out social media / website?
Yeah, follow our social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Cheeky Chip Chat on Instagram and Twitter. That's at Cheeky Chip Chat, and just Cheeky Chip Chat in Facebook. Go ahead and check us out. And we have a website. It's up and running. It's beautiful. You should check it out. It's just cheekychipchat.com. Yeah, go ahead and visit us. Leave a like on this YouTube video. I stole it from Rahul. I just wanted to go for it, Rahul.
Thanks, man. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you all for joining us. Paul, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
would like to give a shout out to Purple Planet Music for providing the intro music for this week. You can check them out at purple-planet.com. And would like to remind you to leave a like on the video, subscribe, share the video with anybody anybody you know who may be interested in soccer or just interested in listening to some soccer fans banter each other for about an hour every week. It's pretty much what we do here. Yeah, again, next week we will likely be covering Juventus Roma and one of Manchester City Leicester and Arsenal Liverpool. So we'll pick some combination of those games and bring you some cheeky analysis, deep fried shenanigans, and all kinds of stuff. From Paul and myself, this has been Cheeky Chip Chat. We hope that you chips will keep it cheeky until we chat next time. Take care. Where is the